Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Marvel's Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. Season 5, Episode 4. So we went back in time.
How did you manage that?
I don't. I feel like recently I've done so many Season 1s, I think it just. I was on autopilot. See, it's
Yeah, all right.
episode 4. It's called A Life Earned. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. So we'll get into S.h.i.e.L.D. This is much earlier than the last couple of weeks. We were late the last couple of weeks. Don't get used to it being this early. But we
Yeah.
did promise it would be earlier this week, and
We're making up for the last weeks by
damn it,
being extra early.
I suppose it wasn't even planned. This was just how the schedule worked out because of lots of other things going on that pushed things around and whatnot. So, but here we are. So this is going to be episode 4, and I guess we'll just take it in sort of plot lines as we typically do. We'll start, I think, with Sky, and I guess Simmons as well. It's kind of the same plot because they're both
Yeah.
kind of in the grasp of S.h.i.e.L.D. now. Who's paying off Deacon? He pays him off in one coin, but the coin's made of a metal that's like so valuable that it's worth more than everything else he owns. So this
Yeah.
is huge payment for him. Still convinced he's playing the long game, but there's kind of some.
I feel like it's going to be less a long game, more just a redemption now.
Possibly, yeah. There's some stuff he says later on that maybe implies it's less of a long game and more. He did it, but he did it with kind of noble intentions.
He did it because he thought it was what was best,
Yeah,
but it was misguided, perhaps.
yeah. Especially when we learn later on that Cassius is planning to just blow up the entire place when he leaves.
Yeah.
So, which I do like that part because it means okay, now they really have to save everyone. It's not even they're not even going to get keep these lives. They're just going to be
Yeah,
killed.
they're on a timer now.
Yeah, but so she's held captive. They've put a dampener on her. He's got these little remote control that turns off the inhuman power whenever he wants to. So naturally, it's off all the time unless he specifically wants her to use it, like we see
Yeah.
with the others. And take some blood. They're going to do some tests because they want to make more Inhumans and whatnot. But basically, he just flat out says, "Yeah, I'm going to sell you. You're going to fetch a high price."
Do you know what? It threw me off a little bit, and I don't know. This might have occurred at the end of the last episode as well, but I only really noticed it here. When Deke kind of said to her, I was like, "Oh yeah, I think you're the person who destroyed Earth." It sounded like that was his own theory, whereas she seems to have a title, the Destroyer of Worlds, where everyone's aware of this.
Yeah, yeah, because I think when it first get brought up in episode 2, I think it was.
Right at the end of two, wasn't it?
Yeah, we theorized this was just him trying to like put the history back together with the framework, and we knew he had some things wrong anyway, so we theorized, well, maybe it's just wrong, and I still think it's going to turn out to be wrong,
Yeah.
but it's not just his mistake, and now
No.
when it
No,
turns out to be
definitely
wrong.
not.
But hey, but yeah, he's basically honest. He's like, yeah, I'm going to sell you, and she sees Simmons is there, and she kind of figures out that she can't speak, she can't hear.
Yeah. I noticed a really nice thing with the vision blur. I think up till this point, I'd kind of just been noticing it mostly in the center of the screen, because most things that she's looking at are in the
Yeah.
center of the screen. But it was here where I noticed how it's when she walks in with someone else, when it is Sky and someone else walk in, and at first the focus is on the other person, and then the other person blurs, and then Sky comes into focus, but obviously she's off center. So I really noticed it's actually just the specific things rather than just this tunnel vision that I thought it was at first.
There was a nice touch later on. There's something they did that I normally hate, because it's something I always talk about whenever we do a Brian De Palma movie, where you have the forced focus where two things are in focus at the same time, and you
Yeah.
have like it just looks unnatural because you've got something in the foreground in focus, you got something in the background in focus. But here it actually kind of worked. There was a moment later on where Simmons is just kind of there, and she's not actually hearing what's going on, but there's still, Cassius is like monologuing over to the side, and she's just at the right up at the camera, like, so, and it's just at the edge of the frame, but she's in focus, and it felt really unnatural. But here it actually worked because it kind of sold me the weirdness of her perception right now, where she can't
Yeah.
perceive Earth. It is just her. She's only aware of her own being.
It's
right
only
now.
what she's being told that she can be aware of.
Yeah. So it actually worked thematically in this, whereas normally in those old movies they sometimes use this just because they wanted to have two things in focus where it took me out of the moment. This actually took me into the moment because I was like, no, this is actually how she feels right now.
Yeah.
And it worked in that sense. But so she's taken to the fight ring. We see the woman who bought the previous Inhumans there, but Cassius basically is like, oh, I've got Quake the World Killer now. I'm too big for you. Go away. Piss
Pretty
off.
much. She's like, I want to buy it, and he's like, oh no way, not a chance.
So she gets talking to this other guy who they're training, who turns out to have a form of telepathy. He can read minds, maybe not necessarily dig into minds, but he certainly hears what you're thinking.
What's on the surface?
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I've kind of come to peace with this, the way this works. You know, when I'm sold off, my family who are still living here will be compensated. So I accept that system.
Yeah, and he's another one who's, in the same way that the girl last episode was, who's relatively happy with the ability that they can just turn their abilities off and on. Because I don't have to hear everything all the time.
It's almost like a literal version of oh, I'm glad our overlord suppresses. It's for our own good, kind of thing. It's kind of like a literal version of
It's
that.
interesting because it means he never has to train to control it, so he's always going to be weaker than he could be.
Yeah, it keeps keeping him weak. Again, going back to the whole idea of oppressors.
Yeah, but they don't realise. They just kind of go, oh yeah, this is useful.
No, yeah. And yeah, so she shows off her power. But it all comes down to actually what might be the best scene of the episode, actually. Very, very tense. We have Sonara is creeping about, and she ends up remembering that someone else was with Simmons. Because I wasn't sure what she was doing at first, because she like grabs this like soldering gun off someone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is she throwing this at Simmons? I don't, what's happening? But it's that's what it is. She remembers May being there and May like helping her. So they end up trying to question Skye and Simmons, and they bring in the telepath to like, hey, right, tell me if Skye's telling the truth. And he's asking, and she says her sort of lies, which we know are lies, and it's like, she's telling the truth. I'm like, okay, so as much as he was antagonistic before, because he's okay with the system, he's not going to throw her under the bus here. He's going to.
I was thinking at this point, I was still wondering that. I was wondering, is she just thinking? If it was a surface level that he hears, is she thinking so hard about this that this is all he hears?
Yeah, it's like a lie detector where you could potentially trick it. Yeah. I mean, there was still a potential for that, certainly, but at least I was thinking, okay, maybe, like, okay, as much as he was like, hey, if we go into a fight, I'm going to play to win because I'm not dying for you. Like, as much as that still made sense, he's not necessarily a bad guy. He's not out to just, like, screw her for the sake of screwing her. But then it got really intense because Cassius is just sort of like, alright, so tell me how you two came, because he's wanting to know if it's just those two. That's what he's really concerned about. Is there anyone else? And he's like, did you appear here like separately, so therefore there could be others you don't know about, or did you appear here together so you know it's just you two? And he's like, Skye, tell me the entire story. Do not leave any detail. And of course I'm thinking, man, he's going to ask Simmons this in a minute and she can't hear her, because it keeps cutting to her perspective and she can't hear or see anything. And then, just to top it all off, just to make sure, Cassius just steps in front of Simmons so that she can't read her lips, just in case she could do that.
Because you can see her looking at the lips at first.
And I'm like, oh man, this is super tense. And she's telling the story, and it's like, and it's kind of like a version of the truth, because she's like, okay, we went to this diner, but it was just those two instead. Like, Fitz was going to leave S.h.i.e.L.D. Like, there was all these extra little bits added onto it. And I'm like, oh man, how is she going to even... And then he turns around, and he's like, so Simmons, why don't you tell me how you two got here? And it better match. And at first I was thinking she was going to roughly match, and it was going to be like just sort of like best guess, like, like, oh, I was really distraught after what happened with Fitz. And I'm like, okay, that matches up with what Skye said, and it's still something she would say, given that it worked.
But then it gets like word for word.
Yeah, it's almost too specific that it's suspicious. Yeah. And it's just in the middle of it, because I was thinking, is the telepath helping here? And you see Skye look over to him, and I'm like, oh, he is. He's beaming this in.
You get it yourself. It's like, I know what's going on here. Because it's the only explanation. It's like he can transmit as well as receive. Yeah.
Basically that's it. That's the twist. He can transmit, and yeah. So that's how we find out afterwards, is that he actually, this is the first time he ever had a chance to read Cassius's mind, and that's how we know that he's going to blow the place up. So now instead of opposing Skye at every turn, he's like, okay, you're really powerful. And he doesn't flat out ask for help.
Let's try and do this.
But you can tell that he's going to be willing now.
Yeah.
That between him, I don't know if the girl, because the woman who bought her still here and not left yet, so I imagine the ship's still here, so maybe the girl will end up helping as well. Yeah,
but I imagine she's back on her ship.
She might be, but if the ship's still there, I can see them somehow getting her back, so the girl can help as well. Because we spent a long time introducing her to that girl, so I feel like we'll...
Yeah, makes sense.
We'll probably end up with her again.
I mean, it works either way, because if it doesn't, then it worked for just for Simmons of the loss of that. So it worked in the moment, but if they come back to her, even better. I'm perfectly okay with that. She was pretty good.
So So no, that scene was really good though. I think that was,
It was,
kind of that was maybe my standout scene of the episode. There was two standout scenes.
I think that might be second for me.
Second for you, okay. But yeah, so I mean, for the most part, that was that plot. That was the plot, except of course the ending, where we actually have the people coming in who might be, because he's all these rich people from all over the galaxy.
We'll get to that though.
Yeah, we'll save that for the end. I feel that's the big thing.
Yeah.
So, rest of the team, we'll start with Mac and Yo-Yo, because they're also he basically grills like, hey, big guy, you come here. I've got a plan for you, because they're standing around trying to figure out, okay, we've got this message, we've got someone signaling a message down on Earth talking to us. Let's try and get down there.
And just to call back to last week, our conversation a little bit. Grill mentioned it was iron that they were looking for.
Was it iron? There you go.
Yeah.
So, but Grill's basically got a job for Mac. He's like, you're big. There's that little funny moment where he just zaps Mac, and he's like, why we're all talking, why me? He's like, because you're bigger, and that makes it funnier.
He's not wrong.
And he's like, yeah, you're a big guy, I've got to have a job for you. I need you to go beat the shit out of this guy who owes me money. He's got a package coming from floor 35, which kind of leads to the Coulson May plot, because they want to go and, okay, what's coming from 35? 35 is a mysterious floor. So they go and do that. But Mag and Yo-Yo go to this guy, and they're kind of following him. There's a whole conversation going on as they're tailing this guy called Gunner, about, I don't want to lose ourselves in here. I don't want to be this thug who beats up people for debt and things like that. I don't want to do that. And he was like, well, we'll do what we have to get through, but you're not going to lose yourself.
She talks about where she grew up. That was the way things were done, and it's just you do what you have to survive.
Yeah, where she grew up, it wasn't actually that different from. I mean, sure, there wasn't the Hunger Games-esque
but just the social structure.
Yeah, and they eventually get to this guy, and they essentially play it as good cop, bad cop at first, where Yo-Yo pretends to be the good cop, and Mac just sort of stands and is like, oh, I'm big. But she keeps... And it's funny, it's not even like he's expecting it, though, because she keeps saying, oh, well, if you don't do what I say, big man here's going to mess you up. And Mac's just like, I'm what? Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's like,
So it's all very amusing, and I like some of the emotional beats of this stuff. I do think part of it was a little bit forced. I liked, because it's intercutting with the other stuff, and you realise the package that he was getting from 435 was a baby. Like, this was how people get kids here. And Mac sort of oh yeah, if you don't do what we say, if you don't give Grilly's money, we'll get to your package and make sure you don't get it. And it actually laughed out loud, because we find out it's a baby, and then one of the things he says after that is, yeah, we'll get your package and throw it in the furnace. And I'm like, Mac,
no, just stop.
But it was
the guy gets really distraught. He's like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, but that was a really funny line, because we knew what it was when he said that, but he didn't, obviously. And I actually liked this. When you looked down and saw the baby rattles and stuff, it actually worked really well, because we know his history with his daughter, with Hope. It really worked. The part I thought was forced was when Gunner went on this monologue about he doesn't deserve kids, and he's the type of person who'd be a horrible father. I'm like, okay, I know what you're doing this for dramatically. I just feel like his speech here feels a little bit on the nose, like it's just too specific.
Yeah, maybe.
Just
I didn't
me?
really have a problem with it. Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't know. It was just I get you're building up to the whole idea that Mac's eventually going to punch him. And don't get me wrong, I actually enjoyed the punch, because I enjoyed the rage of coming. I just thought the actual speech itself was just too specific.
I don't know. To me, it was a guy who was just completely broken by this system. Like, okay, no, this is all we've got, and it's like no, you don't deserve to have one. Yeah. Because you're the epitome of this system. You're what it is.
And I think my problem is why would he go to that argument? Like, why would he think Mac even wants one? Like, it was kind of like he went down that path, and I don't know.
I assume in this place most people want one, because they're not allowed to have any other than through this way. So it's like,
maybe
that's kind of a
I think
strive towards.
Just that turn down that path after we had the revelation just felt a little bit. Okay. I don't know. I just felt a little bit forced to me. Like I say, I like the drama of the scene. I like what it did to Mac for Mac's character. Yeah. It was just him actually going on that little rant felt a little bit forced, but it's not a big deal. And obviously Mac's very beaten up afterwards. I like how he's ended up actually roughing the guy up through circumstance.
Just because he lost himself.
Yeah. But of course they end up giving him money to pay off Grill afterwards. So they did a good deed, and obviously he's very upset. His emotional speech about Hope and how he feels guilty, that he's actually having a harder time getting over the fake version of his daughter than his real daughter who died.
This is my scene of the episode. I think his acting in this is amazing.
Oh, this was your scene of the episode. This wasn't the I thought you were going to say, actually.
No. To me, this was the clear winner for me. I think because
Oh,
you know,
the acting here was great. I completely agree.
yeah, and again, it's this idea of no, we're really building on what happened last season.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
not forgotten. This is still like majorly important to
Because
him.
I think I think him losing hope in the framework is the weird. It's in this weird place where had they never really brought it up again, I wouldn't have even necessarily complained. It wouldn't have felt like it had to have been brought up. But at the same time, them bringing it up, I feel it gets them a lot of credit. Like, no, it should be brought
I
up.
think leaving it a little bit is really nice because it gives him this illusion that he's been trying to forget it. He's been
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to think about it. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Like, I
But
feel
then,
like some shows would just, like, anything that happened in the framework, okay, we had a little bit of reactions when they first got out at the end of the season,
yeah,
but
but that's not important
we're
now.
not going to talk about it now. And I feel like it's the sort of thing where if they had left it behind and maybe just left it as a subtext rather than an actual text,
Yeah,
it would have still worked, but I actually really like that he's breaking down about it, that it's actually had this much of an effect on him.
yeah, I like it too.
So, no, it's good. Like, I feel like Mac's become a really good comic character. He's a really good comic relief, but at the same time, he's got this weight to him because of this stuff with his daughter. So, points on that. So, uh, Coulson and May, they find Deke and they want to get to floor 35, which we find out is like a science floor that Deke's never been to. And he's not really he doesn't want to take them down. He's like, stop doing things. He comes up with this bullshit story about why Sky's not around. Which is funny because I actually agree with Coulson that what she said sounded like her.
Yeah,
But it's also
I'm
really
trying to remember
fake to
if
me.
that is what she said before. Before he took her down. Like anyway, when she was like, "I'm going to find my own way," and I can't remember exactly, but when she had that confrontation with
Even
him.
if it wasn't the same line, you get that's why he got it sounding right. Is because she'd had that kind of moment with him anyway. So, but yeah, so he takes them down, and they find essentially a lab. It's where they're trying to like farm and create more human beings, so they can potentially have more Inhumans. And we find out that no one can actually conceive naturally. They think it's in the food. He's not sure about that, admittedly, but he thinks it's the food that's making everyone.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see if that'll affect our crew. Our team, like if
Oh
they'll
God,
get
yeah.
back and go,
Because they eat.
is it only while they're eating the food that they can't, or is it a permanent thing? Like, are they changed now after this?
I almost feel like it might be like a suspenseful thing where maybe Mac and Yo-Yo try to have a kid and they think, wait a minute, those like say 3 weeks of food we were eating on the station,
Has
is that
had
enough?
an impact?
Yeah, is that enough, or does it take years? Do you have to be eating it from adolescence, kind of thing? Like,
Yeah.
who knows? Like, I mean, it could turn out it wasn't food. It could turn out it's just the way they're bred, but whatever.
It could be, yeah.
Then again, that's something that has to affect Deke because Deke was born naturally because he was one of the last ones born naturally.
He was born naturally, yeah. But it could be just something in space, radiation.
And it could also just be something that affects one gender. Could just be the females. Could just be the males.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You don't have to knock out both. You just have to knock out one half.
You do. That is a very good point.
It takes both the semen and the egg to tango, if you will.
That is how biology works.
It is. That's how they explain it in biology class. The semen and the egg.
I don't really remember biology class that much, to be honest. It was a long time ago.
I never really took biology. That's like you were supposed to sample all of them before you like specified like what one you wanted to go into. But I ended up only doing chemistry and physics. I never got into.
Oh, I did all three.
I never got a chance to do biology for whatever reason. Just don't know. Just a weird. I mean, obviously it was there. I could have picked it.
See, my school was different. You either did just a general, you do a bit of all of them, or you do all three of them individually. You couldn't do just one or two of them individually.
Oh no, I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, you could do. In fact, you couldn't actually do all three like properly. At least not at the same time. You'd have to pick one of them later if you wanted to do it again, like all three of them. But you could go into two of them really in depth. Was kind of the. You had two slots in the timetable you could fill with the science.
Right.
So
no, we had a general science that was just okay. Here's a bit of all three, but nothing like in depth. Or you chose to do the individual sciences and do them all like in more detail.
That was a weird tangent to go on, but
it was. Yeah.
So they end up in a fight with some Kree, and they're doing. Obviously, they discover that Sky's been taken because they see her DNA's on the computer, and they like they're not very happy. Deke gets punched. May's ready to.
It's pretty satisfying, isn't it?
Do you know what I love? This is intercutting with the Max stuff, and I love that in this scene it's Coulson doing the talking, and he's like, "Yeah, if you don't tell us what we want to know, May's going to rough you up." Like it was May who was the enforcer. She was like cracking her knuckles. It was great. But so they're fighting Kree, and Deke gets stabbed in the middle of it all, and Coulson's going to take him back up and get the information out of him. And May's like, look, I'll be fine. I know I'll get my leg, but I've got this. I'm fine.
As soon as she says, "Oh, I'll stay on my own," I'm like, "Oh, here we go again." Because they even, I mentioned last year how every time they go on their own, they get taken.
Now, obviously, I was expecting her to fail. However, I did not predict who was going to walk through the door. I was excited.
I was expecting to go, okay, no, this is going to be... If anyone can, break the curse, it'll be May. She can hold her ground. And then...
Until Sonara walked through the door. And I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Do you know what I love about this? Is that I feel like, come the end of this story, May's going to kick the shit out of Sonara.
God, I hope so.
And to be fair, she holds up a fight. She like dodges the balls. She
smacks the balls away with the axe. That was cool.
Yeah, that was the second thing she did with the balls. She gets a couple of great hits in. This for me was the sort of second scene of the episode, the second top scene, because I think because the fight beforehand with the Kree was okay, but it was this one with May.
It was solid. It was like,
it was fine. It was like a typical.
It was standard for S.h.i.e.L.D., which is above average for a lot of other shows.
But this one, because it was like these two, it was May the fighter versus Sonara, who's been this evil entity so far.
And can we point out May's not even at 100% here? Like she points out, it's like, and I was kind of half expecting like a quick, because it's like you're not even at 100% with your leg, and she's like, I was like half expecting like, I don't need to be, just the usual from her.
80s more than most.
Yes, exactly.
But that's a good fight. And then the final moment where Sonara like flips her onto the table, like halfway down her back, that looked really painful.
It did.
They actually leave it mysterious. Like we just hear about like Cassius mentions, how have you dealt with our most recent guest? We don't actually see what's happened to her. We just see her washing blood off her balls. So it's implying that she, like, obviously they want us to suspect, maybe she's dead. She's not.
See, that's the thing. Even the way Cassius says guest implies that she's still alive and a captive.
But I think that whole washing the blood off the balls and not showing her is at least
just a misdirect.
Yeah, it's like, obviously I don't think anyone's actually going to suspect it, but it's that kind of like writing thing where you leave it in there. It's like, we're not showing her.
It looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we find out the big thing. So the reason why actually Deke eventually agreed to help was because Coulson played him the recording and revealed that there was someone on the surface of the Earth, what's left of it. And he's like, that's impossible, but it kind of like spurs him on to like... By the way, I liked the moment where Cassius is saying to Deke, there could be 2 people from the past, there could be 20. And Deke actually gets in a little bit of a quip here. He's like, well, it's a shame you killed all the people who knew anything about the prophecy then, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually really like how Cassius is like, it is, but we all have to live with regrets. And he sounds really genuine. Like, he's like, do you know what? That might have been a mistake.
Yeah, I should have saved one alive, just for moments like this.
Yeah, but I think it's just those little things that make him as a more interesting villain over time. It's like, okay, no, he's flawed in his own way. Oh yeah,
he's very flawed. I mean, we see that a lot of what he's doing is just for his ego. He hates that he's looked down upon by all these other aliens and species. So, it's as much as he has, obviously, he looks different because of the blue and all that, and as much as he has this sort of elegant, sort of rich, suave, like, I'm a master criminal.
It's all an act, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's who he is. I mean, it's an act in that this is who he wants to be. It's not like he's pretending per se. But what I'm saying is despite all this, the actual core like problems with them are all really normal human things, and that's why I think he's more interesting than just I'm evil and I'm going to destroy everyone.
And then you have Sonara to be the silent, deadly person who's terrifying.
Who I can't wait to fight May again. May's getting her payback. It's happening. It's so happening.
It's gonna be good.
So we find out as well. He reveals that it's his father's voice. He recognizes the voice of the recording down on Earth. So he's like, he wants to go there. He wants to help now because he wants to find his father. We find out that his mother was killed when he was 9 for being someone who believed in the prophecy and believed in S.h.i.e.L.D.
Yeah, and he made a point of saying his father was banished to Earth.
Yeah, which he assumed meant death. He assumed he was dead because of that, until he heard this.
Yeah, because he says he was left to the roaches, and obviously that's how we ended the last episode.
With the henchman did, yeah.
Yeah, so we see, the roaches are on Earth, and that's where that is. And so this goes, okay, so are the roaches not just killing them then?
I don't know if I'd jump to that. I wouldn't necessarily jump to... I think the roaches killed him at the end. Either that, if it's to do with the roaches specifically, and they're not what we seem, then I think they're being controlled by someone, so they're intimidating at the end, but not killing the guy. My best guess would be it's more like some people have just learned how to survive in this wasteland with the roaches running around.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just more the initial landing, so to speak. You know, it's like, oh, we're here. You know, oh, shit, roaches, and you know, just that moment. That seems to be the deadliest, I'd assume, by that point. Then.
Yeah, I'm thinking like someone got lucky, figured out how to survive quickly, you know, on their feet.
Yeah.
And maybe like some future people who land, they like quickly rescue, like they can jump in and like, you know, because maybe we'll see that, you know, like I'm envisioning like I'm trying to think of a movie.
Oh, I know where they are. Shit, I know they're in one of the underground S.h.i.e.L.D. bases.
Well, because we have that set.
Yeah. That's where they are, isn't it?
Probably, but what I'm imagining in terms of like how it's working is kind of like I don't want to say Fallout, kind of like Jurassic Park 3, and this is a weird one to go to, but I'm thinking how the kid was surviving on his own despite how dangerous the island is, and he'd use like it used like the T-Rex pee to like scare away all the little dinosaurs and things. Like I'm thinking there's something to scare the roaches away that they use.
Okay, no, it makes sense.
Whether it's a scent or fire or. You know,
yeah, and of course we've
hide.
been speculating about some LMDs being left around. You know, maybe they kind of have a plan. Like they're the ones that's started this.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like we can't go out between these times of day because they're more ferocious or they're more around or I'm expecting all those kind of rules when we get there. I could be completely wrong, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
That seems like that could be an Arc 2.
Yeah, actually,
on the surface of Earth.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me actually if we were split into 3 arcs again. That we're still in the future, but Arc 2 is on Earth. Yeah, I could see that. So they don't quite trust him. They lock him in his room. They weld him in. So that's that. Which leaves us to the final scene with all the people coming in to bid on S.h.i.e.L.D. Or at least they're there to see the performance, if you will.
Yeah.
And. S.h.i.e.L.D. is making a big speech of it. He's we've got the world killer, we've got all this, and we've got that. And I'm not going to lie, when a certain person in a mask steps forward, I recognised the accent immediately. I knew who it was.
Yeah, they tried to hide it.
They tried to distort it, but it didn't matter. I heard the twang. I heard the Scottish twang in the voice, and I knew who it was going to be. We got bearded Fitz. He's like, nah, that's just... Because I thought he was going to say, like, I'll just buy her outright right now. Because he's trying to get her to safety and then figure out a plan or something. But instead he's like, let's just have them fight to the death. I'm like, come on,
this is more interesting.
Damn Fitz.
And obviously we've been speculating LMDs for Fitz.
LMD Fitz, yeah, we've been speculating that.
But the beard.
LMDs can have beards.
They can, but did he choose to make it with a beard, or... Because they can't grow a beard, presumably.
Do we know that?
I really hope. I mean, we don't know that, but I assumed not.
Did Ada have to get a haircut every once in a while?
I assume not. I assume it's just, no, that's how it is.
You assume, but we don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
We're assuming LMD Fitz. I mean, here's the options, right? Now, I'm not saying I like a lot of these. I'm just saying here's the actual options, right? The obvious options. LMD Fitz, time-travelled Fitz from the past, descendant of Fitz...
But that one I will rage against.
It's a stretch, but...
Clone of Fitz I will allow.
Clone of Fitz, yeah, there's one. Could be a clone of Fitz. Because if he is actually not... Like, I'm still kind of expecting that his whole fight to the death is part of his plan and he's actually here to help everyone.
I am too.
But if it turns out he is actually not good Fitz and there's like a different personality, then I would expect Clone, who's like, went through a rough life and doesn't know what went on before, and he'll become a hero by the end of the arc or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not thinking it's time travel Fitz. It doesn't feel like that. But I mean, we'll see.
No, it seems. If it is time traveled Fitz, I want to know why he would do that. Why would he give up his vantage from okay, I've got the objectivity to look at this differently, to just be there?
No, I don't think it is. I think, in fact, I can almost predict, no matter what this Fitz is, LMD, clone, descendant, whatever. Fits for another universe. Take your pick. Whatever Fitz this is, I feel like I can predict something we're going to get. Either at the end of this arc, or if we, like we said, have the second arc on Earth, so it's still in the future. Whenever we end this future stuff, whenever we're coming back, and we have their chance to come back home, they're going to have to leave this Fitz behind, and it's going to break Simmons' heart. and he's going to have to remind her, I'm not the real Fitz. You're going to go back to your real Fitz. But he's going to go out like a hero. He's going to make sure they all get home.
Yeah, and it's still going to be sad because it'll still be Fitz in a way.
But it'll be this new, like this will be still a real person. I mean, it could be an LMD, but even if it's an LMD, it'll be an LMD with like a heart, with feelings, who actually sacrifices himself to make sure they can go home.
Definitely.
But of course, if they go home and they stop the world from splitting apart, then this future gets wiped out anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
So I mean, but it's going to be heartbreaking. I'm anticipating that heartbreaking scene.
Oh yeah.
At the moment,
it's going to happen because S.h.i.e.L.D. loves to just wrench your heart and give it a good squeeze.
Yeah, it'll be a nice counterpoint to having Evil Fitz last arc, where this now will have maybe this Fitz who becomes like an outright just like hero, and we have to like let him go and go back to the past, back to present day. So,
yeah, that'd be nice.
But no, so that's this week's S.h.i.e.L.D. So, really solid episode. I think from a pacing point of view, it wasn't until the great telepath scene with like the sort of all the stories,
which is about halfway, 25
I think
minutes,
up
maybe.
until then, I wasn't not enjoying it, but it was just kind of like setting things up, and it wasn't really hitting its stride like it normally does right away. But once it got to there, it was basically fantastic till the end. So,
yeah, it was.
Little to complain about. So not as tight in the pacing department as maybe it usually is, but other than that, lot of big ideas, a lot of cool stuff. Nice reveal at the end. And I'm all for bounty hunter Fitz being a thing. So
yeah. Again, it felt like I know that you're gonna hate me for this, but this show has referenced Star Wars a lot in the past, and this did feel like that. That moment from Return of the Jedi with Leia and the bounty hunter mask.
Okay, all right. I can see you thinking now.
Yeah, it was the first thing that popped into my head.
Regardless, though,
because I'm a Star Wars nerd, so what am I gonna?
So that is Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D.
We know we've got an episode next week, but I'm not sure about the week after that. Next week might be the end of this arc.
It doesn't feel like it will be, but we'll see. Sometimes S.h.i.e.L.D. surprises with how quickly it does things.
It does, but I don't know if there's an episode planned for the week after that.
Honestly, I don't. There might not be, but I think it might just be a case of because they get forced to start when they did. We might not end the arc before the Christmas break.
Okay, I'm with you.
I can see us like having another 2 or 3 of this arc.
The thing is, I can see us if we get to Earth at the end of next episode. That would be a good reason for it to be okay. No, that was the end of the arc.
Yeah, but at that point,
even if they're not as self-contained as last season's.
Yeah, but at that point, it's like, well, is it really arcs then? Because does that really feel like the start, the end of an arc? Ultimately, I don't want them to force a quick ending to so it feels like it's done before Christmas. If it has to be a few episodes after Christmas,
the benefit is they knew when they were coming back, or at least roughly for a while, surely.
Yeah, but they might not know the exact week, and in this case, the exact week actually matters because it's like going right up until before Christmas. So, but you know what? I don't care. Like, as long as they didn't feel the need to rush an ending to quote unquote an arc just before Christmas for the sake of ending before Christmas, before the break, I'm fine. Like, give us 2 or 3 of it after Christmas. I don't care. It's fine. Have it as long as the story flows fine.
Yeah, definitely.
It's whatever.
I'm looking forward to it though.
So let us know what you thought of this week's S.h.i.e.L.D. in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. There'll be a link to that in the description in the corner of the video. Also, do check out the Runaways reviews we're doing as well. That's obviously the Marvel show on Hulu right now. It's fairly enjoyable, so check out that. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?